Hello, everybody, and welcome to DES. This is our page layout tools. This is our last lecture. This is our week 4 lecture. So I just want to welcome everyone to class, and I want to talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing this week. Now, in this lecture, we're going to be focusing more on just kind of a review, not learning new objectives, but reviewing the old ones. So we had 3 weeks of lots of new information, and we had discussions on these things, like the elements of design and the principles of design. So today we're going to be reviewing. We're also going to be talking about the final project and what you can expect with that. So let's move on here. We'll go ahead and stop the video as we talk about welcoming everyone to week 4. This is going to be a recording of demos, lots of demos of all the problem areas from last week's assignment. We're going to talk about, going to continue a little bit the discussion of style sheets, where, why, and how, and then appending style sheets, overwriting style sheets, and then other mechanical issues that you might have had. We'll talk about master pages and alignment issues, and then we'll kind of focus on the 4th discussion this week. We also have an assignment, and then your assessment, well, your assignment 4 will be the part 2 of your newsletter. So remember that newsletter you started in week 3? That's right. You're kind of in the home stretch right now. Your pages are created, and now it's time to implement all that you've learned this mod and kind of create a simple, functional, and attractive newsletter. A new tool that you'll be working with is learning how to link multiple columns across multiple pages. This is definitely a must-know technique so that the designer isn't worried about copy changes that a client will make later that affects the flow of the text from page to page. So it's very important that we learn how to do this. I'll be demonstrating this as well. Sometimes a designer will want to have an element that runs on top of another element or underneath. And so this is used with the layer stacking order in the layers panel. And then learning these additional tools and implementing your basic knowledge of the principles and elements of design will round out your basic knowledge of page layout design and really help you prepare for more advanced techniques in your upcoming courses. And so that's what we're going to be focusing on. So we will kind of take one thing at a time. Let's talk about how the last few weeks have gone. A lot of you have taken advantage of the resubmissions. I'm so happy to see that you guys have really been working towards that and taking the grading feedback that I've given you in the PDF and also in the grading rubric and resubmitting that, making the changes. So I just wanted to let you know that you can resubmit your revised work, even past due work, up until Friday at midnight. So I just wanted to let you know that that is the deadline. Saturday is the deadline for the final project, so you'll have to get that in. But I don't want you to focus so much on past due work if it means missing the final project. So make sure you save time for that. And then after that, even if you submit it, it really won't count unless we make special arrangements. So you will have to stay in constant communication with me if you're unable to make the Friday deadline. But I really hope this will help. Some of you are only just a few points from passing. And so doing this, even resubmitting an assignment or turning in a late assignment is going to greatly help kind of put you over that passing point. Because I know some of you are kind of worried about passing. And if you're only just a few points away, it's just a matter of just getting the work turned in. So if you need help, I will be available during the multi-session on Wednesday. Same time, same link over Zoom, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. The multi-session is not a lecture. It's just, I'll be in the office and you can ask questions. You can come work on assignments. I can help you. I'm not here to give you the rundown or the tutorial. That's what the demos are for in the lectures, but I can help you if you're stuck or if you have any specific questions. And if you need to know how to do something, I'm here to help. So I want you to take advantage of it and come and bring your assignment so that we can get your grades up. But congratulations to everyone though on making it to week 4. This is a hard class. Even though it's a 100 level class, I feel like it's very intense and you have a lot to do, especially if you're not familiar with how to design pages. So this kind of stretched us a little bit, but I hope you guys had fun overall. Are there any questions before we move on? Okay, so I just wanted you to be aware of the resubmissions, the late work, and the policy on that. Okay, so let's talk about our discussion this week. Now, you have had the opportunity to use InDesign. You've created several different projects. We've done menus, newsletters, postcards, and so now we're going to be talking about mobile apps. So there's a link here that I want you to click on, and it's kind of a list of lots of different mobile apps. And I want you to pay close attention to those that have InDesign as a companion software. And why this is because this is kind of where things are trending now. No longer do just graphic designs just work with InDesign. They're kind of being used on all different platforms. Now, if you can use InDesign, then you could probably branch out into the mobile app design sector, or you could even branch out into the digital online publication area. There's lots of different avenues you can go with knowing how to design in InDesign and being a graphic designer. So it doesn't just mean print materials. So I want you to kind of focus on the mobile apps that use InDesign and kind of see if any pique your interest. I think it'd be really interesting to find out if any interest you at all. So for week 4, just so that you're aware, you need to submit a substantial 150-word minimum post, and it would be nice to see any visual examples if you have any. But as we've learned in this course, InDesign is the industry standard for print layout and composition. It's used to create projects such as brochures, magazines, newspapers. Can you guys think of any others? Yeah, advertisements. Anything else? What do we use InDesign for? Some of you might have had classes where you've designed posters or books, much, much more. Basically, if you can print it, you can design it in InDesign. So InDesign is also capable of producing static websites, kind of the back-end design for websites. Simple to complex animations, interactive forms, and even digital publications. So there are, in fact, graphic artists that utilize InDesign for just about everything that they do. It's not just for print, but from print projects, we are familiar with lots of different print projects, from business cards to billboards. But also, what about the online sector? Web banners, interactive forms, e-publications. And InDesign is one of the most powerful tools in the Creative Cloud, and I feel like it's one of the most user-friendly ones. So this is definitely fun software to learn. Okay, so now you've had the opportunity to utilize InDesign to create several different projects. So after you check out this link, like I said, pay close attention to which ones are using InDesign as their companion software. But for your initial post, you need to choose one of the mobile apps listed and kind of describe what it is and how the two together work in sync, and then what type of project it creates. And ask the question, will this knowledge of InDesign's power give you an advantage in obtaining work in this industry? Because this is real life situations. Tell me why or why not. So I want you to kind of address those questions. Now for your citation, don't forget to cite your sources. You can find articles from experts that suggest how to use InDesign with the current Adobe apps. This is changing, and the face of the graphic design industry is also changing. It used to be just you were kind of a one-dimensional designer. And now if you're a graphic designer, you can kind of dabble in a little bit of everything: online, print, the mobile app area. So this is very important to kind of understand where this industry is trending. Your initial and reply posts, don't forget those, should work to develop a group understanding of this topic. So work together, talk together, challenge each other a little bit, build on each other. Always be respectful though, and discuss the prompt and kind of figure it out together. So if you have a critique on one of your peers' posts, maybe offer some suggestions. So this is meant to be fun. So are there any questions so far? Okay, if there's no questions, we'll go ahead and move on. But I did want to just let you guys know, I noticed some of you aren't familiar with the requirements. Per the due dates and the participation requirements for this course, you really must submit one main post, like I said, of 150 words or more. You need to have one APA citation and reference, as well as 2 follow-up posts that are at least 50 words minimum. Responses can be addressed to both your initial thread and other threads, but you really must they need to be your own words, no copy and paste, and each reply needs to be unique. So no repeating something you already said, and it should be substantial in nature. So use the terminology we're using in class. I want you to be familiar and comfortable talking about those terms. And then talk about the tools that are being used. That's also very helpful. Remember that part of the discussion grade is submitting on time also, so make sure you get your posts in on Wednesday before midnight. That's Mountain Standard Time. And then use proper grammar, spelling. I mean, this is 20% of your grade, so please make sure that you get that, get it right and get it in. So best case scenario, make sure you submit by Wednesday, at least your initial post, and then reply to 2 others. Are there any questions about the discussion? Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and move on. And we'll start talking a little bit about the design portion in just a minute. So here's the list of information that you'll need to know. So here's your citation. I did want to let you know that your initial post, because it has to be substantially long, choose one of the mobile apps listed and then just kind of talk about what it does and how it works with InDesign, or how InDesign works with it. And then describe how you could bring the 2 together, what type of project it creates. And then ask yourself those questions. Will this knowledge of InDesign's power give you an advantage in the industry? For your citation though, I want you to find articles from experts that kind of suggest how using InDesign with the current Adobe app is changing the face of graphic design today. So kind of look for those kind of sources, those kind of articles that kind of lean towards that side of things. Okay, so I promised those who came to the lecture or watching at home a little reward for doing so. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this quiz that we have, this final exam. And I know if you're like me, you get anxious about final exams. So I wanted to go over some of the questions with you. Well, let me pull it up real quick. Give me a moment. And then we'll go back to the assignment. All right, so let me share my screen. Go. All right, so I'll just pull this up directly so that you can see. I'll kind of widen it. All right, so let's look at the first question. Now these are random, so you may not have the same questions, but I want you to just kind of be aware that this is, these questions might not all be the same. So let's talk about a gutter. A gutter is what? Is it the space on the outside edge of the page, the space beyond the edge of the page, the space between columns, or the space between lines of type? The space between columns looks like it would be the right answer. Okay, let's look at number 2. In the new document window, intent defines what? Intent, what does that intent mean? So is it what country the document's created in, how the document will be printed, who the document is for, and how the document will be used? What do you think? Yeah, your intent defines how it's going to be used. Is this be for an online publication, like a interactive PDF, or is this going to be for print purposes? Let's start with question 3. The opacity of several objects can be adjusted at the same time within the what panel? What do you think? Is it pages, layers, links, or the CC libraries? The opacity of several objects can be adjusted at the same time within the layers panel. And that's because if you have multiple layers, you can lock other layers, and layers kind of just define what elements are on that particular layer. So you can apply several different effects to objects as long as you have your layers panel open and you're using that. Okay, let's look at question 4. You can't move layouts you can move layouts within InDesign using the what panel? What panel do you think you can move layouts with InDesign? Okay, is it links, layers, pages, or libraries? What do you think? So I'm going to go with pages. Let's see if that one's right. Okay. All right, and then let's talk about number 5. If the panel you're using seems to have disappeared, you can find it under the what menu. The panel you are using seems to have disappeared. You can find it under what menu? Tools, format, table, or window? I'm going to go with window on this one because the window drop-down menu is kind of like your toolbox. It has all of the tools that you really need. And so if you X out of one of the panels, you can always access it under the window. All right, you can lock individual components in a layout using what panel? CC libraries, layers, links, or pages? The layers panel. So if you have the layers panel open, you can lock layers so that they don't get moved when you're moving other elements around on the page. It's very handy actually. And we can kind of go over that too if we're still confused on it. And to move frames within InDesign, I want you to use the what? Hand, direct select, select, or zoom tool. What do you think? To move frames within InDesign, you want to use the select tool, I believe. Let's see if that one's right. If you want to resize frames within InDesign, you use the select tool. To move frames, I think it's also the select tool. To resize frames within InDesign would be the select tool. And then this CRAP principle creates visual unity. So choose the letter that stands for the correct word. What stands for visual unity? Is it the C, the contrast, R, the repetition, A, alignment, or P, proximity? What do you think? So visual unity would be repetition. It'd either be repetition or proximity. So I'm going to say repetition. There are 4 design principles represented by the acronym CRAP, and the R stands for what? We just talked about it, repetition. That's right. Okay, and then if everything within a design seems to be screaming for the viewer's attention, the design is lacking which of the CRAP principles? So if everything is trying to compete with each other, it would probably be contrast. And then the CRAP principle creates visual attraction and attention on a page. It's also contrast. And then the 5 basic design elements are what? Now, don't get them confused with the principles. The principles of design are the CRAP. The elements of design are shape, line, color, texture, and value, right? And then which of these is not one of the basic elements of design? Remember, elements. So we've got color, we've got line, shape, so it'd be type. All right, let's see how I did. Okay, it looks like we missed one. So let's go back and see what we're looking at. Okay, if everything within a design seems to be screaming for the viewer's attention, the design is lacking the repetition principle of the CRAP. So it's R. Okay, that was the one we missed. So, all right, well, see, even your instructor is not perfect. Hopefully this helps, though. I wanted you to kind of get a visual idea of kind of the questions that are going to be asked. There was a question about texture. Texture is what? It's a way the surface feels or looks, right? Let's see another question that wasn't on here. Oh yeah, there's another question that might pop up. There are 4 design principles represented by the acronym CRAP, and the A stands for what? Alignment. Okay, and then what is the CRAP principle used to show the relationship between 2 pieces of information? If they're close together, they belong together. What do you think that is? Right, proximity. Proximity is the CRAP principle used to show the relationship between 2 pieces of information. Okay, and then to maintain the frame size, but you want to resize the image within the frame, what tool would you use? You would use the direct select tool. Okay. All right, so hopefully this helped. Oh, one last question. I can change line weights in the what panel? The line tool panel, color panel, stroke panel, or pen tool? You can change line weights in the stroke panel. That's another question they'll probably ask. And there is a list of all images used in a layout in the links panel. That's another question. All right, I think we've covered our bases here with the final exam. That's a lot of questions, but hopefully you guys do well on this. Hopefully you all get a better score than I did, but here's that one that you'll need to know. The correct answer is repetition. Okay. All right, we're gonna go ahead and stop the screen. We'll jump back to our slides. All right, so hopefully this helps the final exam. I want you to be able to do that. I also wanted to point out that for the week 4, you need to make sure you do the week 4 integration. It's just, don't worry about that quiz. It's worth 15 points, which is a great grade booster, but it's also just taking an evaluation of how you felt the class went. So there's no right or wrong answers. Just make sure you give detailed comments. Don't leave short comments. You'll be graded on the length of your answers and the quality of them. So just make sure that you post that, and it gives us good feedback for how the course operates and how you felt everything went, and did it help you, and why. So it's more of just kind of a reflection of the course instead of any actual quiz questions. So hopefully you guys take that quiz and do, get those easy points. Okay, let's talk about our assignment. Week 4 assignment. So we've covered lots of learning objectives like how to implement correct usage of master pages, defining and applying a grid system to a page layout, and utilizing a baseline grid to align text, and even graphics in a layout. We've talked about how to apply InDesign's text frame properties to create and link columns, and then define the difference between layers and stacking order in the InDesign interface. So we're going to cover all of these things. I just wanted to kind of give you a review. Remember to correct your mistakes from week 3. Make sure you're utilizing the style sheets correctly. Finish the final project. And remember, the layout doesn't have to match perfectly. The tools have to be used correctly, though. So try to get it as close to the example as possible. But if something's slightly off, that's fine. We just want to make sure you're using the right tools. Okay, so let's shift gears and go right into InDesign because we're going to go over some important things. Let me pull up my new document here. Okay, we'll stop the share. We'll go right into InDesign. So if you've got your InDesign open, we can go over this information. Let me close out of my slides so it's one less window that we have to have open. Okay. So no new skills are going to be introduced this week, just so you know. This is just a time to go over the problem areas that you're finding in the projects and to kind of help you fully understand all that we're trying to get across this week. This mod, I should say. Most of you should get it by this point, but if you're still having some struggles, please come to the multi-session or email me or go see the tutors at the Student Success Center. They're there to help, okay? All right, so let's talk about first style sheets. That's one area that seems to give students the most trouble. So I do want to focus on that trouble spot a little bit. Let me get my tools in here. Okay, so the question is, what is a style sheet? Well, style sheets are extremely helpful in the sense that they can help save time when you are formatting stuff. In InDesign style sheets, they're helpful time-saving tools that make formatting text in your documents very simple. This is why we use style sheets in InDesign. All right, and you can access them by going to Object, or Type, Paragraph, and Character Styles. So these will pop up. So let's talk about the difference between the two. How do we use them? How are we supposed to apply them in our assignment, okay? What style sheets do and why they're important is they allow you to define specific attributes one time, and then you apply those attributes again and again to different areas of text with one single click. This is very appealing to someone who has to design a multi-page document, like say your newsletter. Now all of a sudden you've got 4 pages you have to format instead of just 1. And this can be very time consuming when you're having to change the font every time you run into a header, especially like a menu, when you've got maybe 50 to 100 items on a page that needs special formatting. So they allow you to define the specific attributes only one time and then apply those attributes again and again as many times as you need to different areas of text with just one click. All right, so the question is, okay, then how do I use them? Here's how. I want you to look at these tips that I'm going to go over on how to use style sheets. Let's talk about the paragraph style sheet for a minute, the one on top right here. Paragraph styles apply formatting to entire paragraphs of text. So to create a paragraph style, you're simply going to open the paragraph styles window like we did by going to Type and making sure paragraph styles are open. So open the paragraph styles window and then select new paragraph. And you can find that right down here. Create a new style, or you can click on this little options box and go to new paragraph style. So either one will get you here. Okay, so once you've clicked the paragraph style from the pull-out menu located on the top right corner, you can, a window is going to appear, your new paragraph style window, and this allows you to customize your paragraph style the way that you want or need. The list on the left, you'll see a column of lots of things. This list on the left side of the window shows everything you have control over, including basic character formats, hyphenation, and indents and spacing. So even some character formats can be applied under the paragraph style. So they can kind of do both, which is very handy and very helpful. All right. So simply click on any of these options. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a name. In this case, this might be if you're working on your menu or your newsletter. This could be the header. So we'll put header style sheet, or just simply header, whatever is easier for you to just give it a label. It's what's going to appear down here, so you need to remember what you're calling it and what it is, okay? So simply click on any of these options and define the attributes to your liking. So this is where you get to kind of customize it. It is recommended that you name your paragraph style sheet something very specific that relates to what it's going to be used for in the document, because as you create multiple paragraph or character styles, such as your body copy or your captions or your headers, you'll want to be able to keep them, want to be able to find them easily. So when you finish defining the style, you'll click OK, and you'll see that the style added to the list in the paragraph styles window. So what we're going to do is give it a name. We're going to go to basic character formats and say we're designing in a sans serif font. And so I'm going to change the font to Helvetica. Font style will be regular. And because this is a header, I'm going to make it quite large. So it'll be about 24 points. And I'll leave the leading to automatic because that doesn't really matter at this point when we're creating a paragraph styles. Okay, and then you can continue to customize if you wanted to adjust your horizontal, vertical scales, your baseline shifts. If you want to give it some indents and spacing, what kind of alignment do you want it to have? In this case, I'll just keep it left alignment. You will probably not need much of this. You can go into character colors, and with my header, I'll change it to red so that everything turns to red. You could even add drop caps here, but in this case, we're doing a header, so I will not need drop caps. Okay, you can hit OK. All right, so let's give it for a test drive. So now I'm going to just draw a text box here. All right, so I'll highlight this and I'll just click header. And there you go, it's already formatted. Now say I wanted to change it to bold. I looked at it, I already formatted it. Now I really need to bold everything because for my header, I really want it to contrast with everything else on my page. So instead of making the change here and going and bolding it, I'm going to deselect off of it and go change it in my paragraph style. This is the trick. If you make changes to your text with a style sheet already applied, it will make that alteration in your style sheet. So unless you don't want that change to be permanent, you probably should go and make your change within the paragraph style itself. So in this case, basic character formats, I'm going to just change the font style to bold and hit OK. All right, now, there you go. And also the reason why is if you have applied this, this particular paragraph style to multiple pages, objects on multiple pages, it will automatically make the change for you when you go into the paragraph style itself. If you just make the change on the one line here, it won't apply it to the rest of the document. So again, we want to save ourselves time, so it's important to make sure that you make the change within the paragraph style itself. All right, are there any questions so far? Are we still with me? You can even make another one. I'll add another one. Let's go to create new style, or you can click on this part, create new paragraph style. And this one, I'll do body text. And then I'm not going to base it on anything, so no paragraph style. It's not based on anything, but I will do basic character formats. And in this case, I will keep it, let's change it to something sans serif, like Times New Roman for contrast. I'll keep it regular. And then because it's body text, we want it to be small, so we'll do about a 9-point font. Again, the leading will be automatically adjusted. You don't have to worry about that. If you do need to adjust kerning or tracking or anything, it can be done here. And for the character color, we're going to go black. For body text, I'm going to want it to be black. Okay, and then I'm done, so I'll hit OK, and it automatically applies to my paragraph style right here in InDesign, as you can see. So now I'll draw another type tool, or get my type tool, draw another line of, or let's see. This is what my body text style sheet looks like. I'll highlight this and click on body text, and it automatically formats it. So if you think it's a little too small, considering that my header is so large, we will go into the body text and make change so it applies to all of the text it's been applied to. So go to basic character formats, and then for this one I'll just do 12-point font, and we'll hit OK. There you go, and then it automatically applies, which is super handy. Hey Ginger, thanks for joining us today. Cool. All right, so then what we're going to do is once this has been applied, you can make as many as you want in your paragraph styles, but labeling them is helpful because, as you can see, it's important to be able to find it quickly. So to apply the style that you created, just like I did, you're simply going to select the box that you would like it applied in, or highlight the text that you want it applied to, and then click on the style. So did you want this to be a header or the body text? You see how that works? And if you have multiple paragraphs within a text box and you would only like the style to be applied to one of them, just click anywhere inside that paragraph and then select the style. So this should leave the other paragraphs in the text box unchanged. So I'll show you how that works. So for this, in this case, I'm just going to insert some placeholder text. Okay, and I'm going to give some returns on this so you can see what I mean. Okay, so now I've got all this text and I need to format it correctly. So I just click in the paragraph with my blinking cursor and then click body text, and it will adjust it. Did you see that adjustment? Or if I wanted a header, but body text. So if this one, I wanted to make a header, I just have to have my blinking cursor. The return that separates the paragraph will help distinguish what text you're applying it to. So in this case, I want it to be body text, and in this one, I want it to be body text as well. So that application right there kind of saves you a ton of time instead of having to click and highlight and adjust it 3 times over. In this case, we have already done it once, and so with one click, we're able to quickly format the text. So if you need to change a paragraph style after it's been created, this is another helpful tip. Just be sure that no text boxes are selected at the time. So you'll know that a text box or an object is selected when you see these anchor points, see these white little anchor points on the box. That means that object or that text box is selected. Just click off the side of your page. Just deselect, and then double click on the style that you want to adjust, like this. And so say I want it blue. I'm just going to click on blue, and then I'll hit OK. Oops. All right. Then you can make your changes and click OK. You'll see this change applied to every paragraph style that it's linked to. So because I've already linked it to this, you're going to see it applied to all of it. So in this case, if I wanted to make the change in body text, I need to go back and make it blue. For some reason, I'll hit OK, and every paragraph that it's been applied to will automatically change. So again, you won't have to go through your whole document and make those changes individually. That's why that is so helpful. So remember, anytime you're going to make a change to your styles that have already been applied to something, you need to go into the actual style sheet and make the change there. Okay. Looks like we've got a question. Oh. All right. So let's talk about character styles. So that kind of defines what paragraph styles are. Let's talk about character styles. Character styles apply formatting to single words or phrases within a paragraph. They are created much in the same way that paragraph styles are. They're very similar, only using the character styles window though. So if you open up the character styles window, which I have here, again, you can access it by going to type and select character styles. When you open the character styles window and select new character, same way that we would do with the paragraph style, this box will pop up, okay? And this pull-out menu located on the top right corner here will access this box. So your list is a little shorter, if you'll notice, in comparison to what a paragraph style offers you. You'll notice that the window that appears gives you kind of fewer options on the left, but because character styles are only meant to apply to single words or phrases, you don't have control over things like hyphenation or indents and spacing. So this is more of a limited use for character styles. It is recommended that you name your character style sheet something specific that relates to what it's going to be used for in your document. Same deal here. And so if you were to use quotes or names of things, this is where you would probably apply a character style. When you finish defining the style, you click OK, and you'll see that it gets added. So in this case, if I were to do a quote, and then I hit OK, quote shows up in my character style. So to apply the style that you created, you simply highlight the text that you want it applied to. So for instance, we're going to go to quote, and I'm going to format this, go to basic character formats. My font family is going to be, let's do Helvetica. Regular size will be 12. And I want the character color to be blue so it stands out, and then I'll hit OK. So in this case, I would just click on the one word or quote, or if it's a sentence that I want to kind of highlight throughout the document. If you need to change a character style after it's been created, what do? Do you highlight the text within? No. Be sure that no text boxes are selected, and double click on the style in the character style. So what we're going to do is, if I need to change the color, I want it to be pink instead of blue, I just hit OK, and then it will automatically apply that change to every element that it was applied to in the document. So you'll see this change applied to every word or phrase that the style is linked to. Same concept as the paragraph styles. So hopefully this kind of sheds a little bit more light on style sheets and how they're helpful and how they're used. You never know. InDesign style sheets may save you some time and some hassle, especially with this final project. So I really wanted to kind of hammer home the importance and how to use them. Now I have a video I want to share. It's just a little review of what I just showed you, but sometimes it's easier when someone else is doing the talking, so and more fun to listen to. So we'll go ahead and stop the share, and I will bring up the video so you can see it. Okay. And we'll pull this up. Okay.
Next step is going to be to press Command-D to import some text. Got the first 15 pages of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. We're going to hold the Shift key down so that it'll flow through all of my pages. Our next step is going to be to set up some paragraph styles. We're going to click the button to create a new style, and we're going to name it Now we're going to click on the basic character formats, and we're going to select our font. Now I like using Adobe Garamond. I feel like it's really easy to read, so that's what we're going to do this time. We're going to make it 20 points, and we're going to let the letting be automatic here because it doesn't really matter. Then we can look and you can see there's lots of different options that there are within the paragraph styles. You know, indents, tabs, all that stuff. But we're going to do a paragraph rule right now. And what I want to do is put a 3-point rule beneath each chapter heading. We're going to offset that by 8 points, and it's going to convert that automatically to inches for us. Now we're going to apply the paragraph style we just made to the chapter and change that text back to there. Now you can see that the body text is running into the rule on our chapter, so we're going to go back inside the paragraph style and change the space after the whole thing to 12 points. So after the rule, it's going to add 12 points. That looks like it gives us enough space there so that the text doesn't run into the chapter name anymore. Next thing we're going to do is create a style for our body. So everything that doesn't fall into one of the other styles, so the majority of the body text is going to fall into this. So we're going to name it body text. We're going to go into the basic character formats. Now we're going to use the Garamond font again, so you just type GAR, and then we'll select Adobe Garamond Pro. We're going to change the size to 10 points, and we're going to use 13 points of leading. Now we use extra leading, even though the automatic leading table says to use 12, because it gives us extra space between the lines, which makes it easier to read. Now the next thing we're going to do is create a paragraph style for the first paragraph of each chapter. And we can actually tell it to base it on body text, which you could actually see back there in that last dialog box right there. So now we're going to go back to drop caps. We're going to have a drop cap. So it's going to be a big letter that stretches 3 lines. It's going to be the first character on each one of our paragraphs at the beginning of each chapter. Next thing we're going to go ahead and do is select all of our text, and we're going to apply our body text style to that. That way we can go back and change the things that aren't body text, but since the majority is that, that's what we're going to use. Now we're going to press Command F to open up the Find and Change and type in chapter and find all instances of the word chapter, as usually it'll correlate to a chapter number. So we're going to change it to the chapter style, find the next one, and now this one has to be made into its own paragraph. So we're going to insert a hard return there and change it again to the chapter style. Now we're also going to press the Enter key, and remember that's the Enter key as opposed to the Return key. The Enter key is located right next to your numerical keypad. That's going to force the bit of text to go to the top of the next blank page.
Okay, so we're going to here. Oops. We'll just stop there, but hopefully that kind of gave you an introduction to how style sheets are used and the fact that they're simple once you get the hang of it. Are there any questions so far? I know we had some students show up, so wanted to turn the time over to you guys if you have any questions. And if not, we will continue. All right. Go back to InDesign here, shall we? Okay, so let's talk about, let's see, looks like we might be taking our 10-minute break here pretty soon. But the next thing I wanted to talk about was master pages. Master pages are very, very helpful. And when I first started with design, I didn't know, master pages for some reason just seemed to overwhelm me, the concept. So I want to make it simple and easy to understand. So what we're going to do is close out of the paragraph styles. We're done with that right now. Drop down window will allow you to access your pages panel. Bring up your pages panel, and you'll notice that the page that is highlighted is page 1. Now, if I were to add 4 pages, which would be my newsletter, and I want to add a folio or a footer to each page, but I want to save myself some time because I don't have time. I waited to the last minute to do this assignment, and I need to save every minute I can. You're going to want to go to your A master here. Now, your master is kind of divided by this little bar, sliding bar here, and your A master is highlighted when you have clicked on the page. So both A masters are selected, or maybe just one. You can double click. So when you see a page grayed out, that means that's the page you are on, so you don't get confused. Okay, so here is our A master. Let me see if I can expand things a little bit. You want to make sure that the Pages panel is showing so that you can see which page you're on. And the way that you access that, like I said, is go to your window drop-down menu and go to Pages, click Pages. Everything's alphabetical in that drop-down menu, so it makes it quick to find. Then you're going to double-click on A master right here to make sure that you're on the master pages. And then in the Pages panel, it will display the master page. So remember, there's a left and a right to the master. So be sure that you're on the page that you want to be. So in this case, both are highlighted. We'll highlight the left one, and it zooms in directly. Okay. And then what we're going to do is create our folio. So I'll just draw some random shapes here. Anything that you apply to the master page will be applied to all of the left side pages. So in this case, if I drew a box and I had blue boxes and I had a red box, you'll notice even in my Pages panel, you can see it immediately. All the left-hand pages automatically get applied to the same spot that I placed them in, same colors, same everything. So this is extremely handy when we place elements on a page. They're to be applied to the rest of the document. Now, if I wanted that same effect on the right page, I'd have to put those elements on the right page so it will show up on the right-hand side of the pages throughout the document. Okay, so what is a master? Okay, simply put, a master is like a background that you can quickly apply to many, many pages. Objects on a master appear on all pages, just like we saw. You'll notice both shapes appear on those pages. They appear on all pages with that master applied. And master items that appear on the document pages are surrounded by a dotted border. I don't know if you can see it, but if I were to take the fill off of this blue box, you see that dotted line? That means something is there, okay? And that's how you know it's a master element. Changes that you make to a master are automatically also applied to associated pages. So by taking off this red box, watch the Pages panel, it now gets rid of it on all the other pages. Okay, so it's pretty handy. So if you want to apply a change to the rest of the document, put it on your master. If you want to delete something off of your rest of your document, take it off of your master. And this will allow you to save time so you don't have to go through each page, page by page. Masters commonly contain repeating logos, maybe page numbers, headers, and footers. Those are the common uses for masters, but they can also contain empty text or graphic frames that serve as placeholders on a document page. A master item cannot be selected on a document page. So I'll show you, for example, so we'll put those shapes back. If I were to go to page 2 on my actual document, I'm unable to move them. It's as if they were locked. So a master item cannot be selected on that specific document page unless the master item is overwritten. Meaning if I need to make a change to this, and I have to do it in my master's page if I want it applied to my document. But let's say page 2, I don't want the red box. Page 2, I just want the blue box. Well, make sure page 2 is highlighted, and then right-click on it, and then click Override All Master Item Pages. And by overwriting it, now it will take away that dotted line, and it will allow me to edit just page 2. Okay? I can even take off the blue box if I wanted. So now, even though this master has been applied to all pages, I overrode the application on page 2. Now, let's say I changed my mind. Now, I really do want the shapes back on the page, but I don't have to go draw them. And I already overrode them and deleted them. Just click on the A master and drag to page 2, and it'll automatically apply everything that I applied on that left-hand side. Kind of cool, huh? So masters can have multiple layers. Just like pages in your document, objects on a single layer can have their own stacking order within that layer, and objects on a master page layer appear behind objects assigned to the same layer in the document page. So if you want a master item to appear in front of objects on the document page, you need to assign it to a higher layer to the object on the master. So for example, go to the master and say I want the red box behind the blue box. You'll have to right click, arrange, send back. So now I've sent it to the back layer. So a master item on a higher layer, like I said, appears on in front of all objects on lower layers. So merging all the layers will move master items behind the document page objects. So you just kind of have to be aware of what's layered and how you're using it, okay? All right, let's see. Let's add a folio. So for your newsletter, we'll just draw a text box. I like to position it under the margin line because usually the margin line is where I end my text on my document. So I want this to kind of be below the margin line. So if this was Student Matters, I'm going to format this. I'm going to tab it over. For the month, we're going to say it's July 2017. And I'm going to add, what was the page number? Okay, so for Student Matters, I'm going to format this so it's small. So I want all the text to be small. Footers do not need to be large, so 8 or 9 point is probably all you'll need. I like to keep it smaller than your actual body text. And I don't like it to stand out too much. So we're not going to do hot pink. We're going to do black. And I'm even going to do a tint. I'm going to do a gray. So like 75% is all that I need. I'm going to tab this over. So the Student Matters will be, the Student Matters will be grayed out. But the actual date will be in black. And this divider line, I'll do navy blue because that seems to be in the masthead. I'll hit OK in the flag. And then on this left-hand side, I'm going to want to put the page number. So I'll go to Type, Insert Special Character, Markers, Current Page. And then I'll kind of put this placeholder here, this letter by my blinking cursor. Don't be alarmed by the letter. That just means that it's a placeholder and that it will apply the number that it needs to depending on what page you're on. So in this case, I'll change this to red because I want the page number to stand out. Or no, not red, I'm sorry. To black. Not gray. Adjust my tint, there we go. Maybe I'll do this divider line red so it stands out a little bit more. There we go. All right, and then Student Matters, maybe I'll make, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so now I've got my footer. And I'm just going to kind of use the space bar to get it over to the left as much as I possibly can. Okay, so now that's been applied to my left-hand page. Let's look at all the other left-hand pages. So I'm on page 2, and now I'm on page 4. If I go to page 3, you'll notice there's nothing there. It's because I only applied this master page to the left-hand side. Now I'm going to have to copy it over and paste it and format it for page 3. Okay. In this case, sometimes it's flip-flopped, so I'm going to have to flip-flop everything. So I'm going to want the page number on the outside. Or you can just keep it the same. There we go. So now if I click on page 3, you'll notice there's page 3. It's already been labeled for me. So this is how you apply a master element to all of your pages. I'm going to double click again on my A master. I'm going to highlight both of them. I'm going to grab my line tool. I'm just going to add like a little bar above my folio. And this will kind of serve as both a divider line between my text of my article and also my page number. So I'm going to just scoot this down below the margin line just a tad. I'll grab my line that I drew and line it up with the margin line. And then I'll make this, I'm going to make it black give it a stroke. There we go. So now you can see this is what it looks like. I can even do blue if I wanted to make it stand out. So now if I go to page 2 and page 3, now that line has been applied to both pages. So that now kind of gives it a good foundation of where your page should end and begin. So, and I can do the same thing if I wanted to do a header, but it would just be applied to my master page. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to go to break. There are no questions at this point. Are there any questions before we take our break? All right, so we'll be back in 10 minutes, and then come with any questions. If you have any questions for the final, we're going to kind of go over the final project together and talk a little bit more about aligning your text in the baseline grid. We'll do a quick review on that. We'll do a review on how to package your files, the final project, how to get that packaged correctly, and how to zip it. And then, like I said, we'll go over those 2 pages that we have to design. So we'll go ahead and start now. See you in 10 minutes. Okay, so we are back, and now we're going to jump right into, we'll go back into InDesign here so we can talk a little bit more. So we talked about master pages. We talked about how to override master pages. And now we are going to focus on, we'll talk about aligning your text to a baseline grid probably at the end of class if there's time. I did want to make time for the Student Matters. So if you had downloaded the link in your assignment 4, or even your assignment 3 had the link as well, it's the Student Matters Newsletter Assets folder. It's a package file, and you can access it on the course homepage. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull up the materials for page 2 and 3. We went over page 1. Let's see. Let me open it real quick. We went over, oh, that was the postcard. Here's the newsletter. There we go. Okay, so we kind of went over briefly how to do page 1, and then we laid out page 4. So now we're going to be working on our inside pages, which are page 2 and 3. And then opening the folder will help you kind of see some examples. So I'm going to share my desktop so that you can see everything that I'm doing. Do share screen. Here we go. Okay, don't look at my messy desktop, but I've got this. Okay. And now I'm going to go to the mock-up. I think this is the one. And we're going to want to see page 2 and 3 laid out. So this will get a little tricky because we've got some bullet points that we need to format as well. So let's start with page 2. And I'm just going to open this up so that I can look at it. I want to be able to see. You're going to kind of have to eyeball this. There is a way to pull it into InDesign, but I think it might do better if we just kind of just eyeball it. Okay. So first things first, we're going to need to place our image. And I've already got my baseline grid set up. I will show you how to do that at the end of class. It's just a review from week 3. We did get that one set up. So we're going to find the picture, the sky study time. You can go to File, Place, and then just find where you put the folder and find the link that you want. Now, this there's 2 ways you can do that. I drug the photo into InDesign. If you're on a Mac, it's simple to do, but it placed it much larger than I actually need it. So to constrain the proportions, I'm going to hold down Shift and Command, or Shift and Alt Option. That also will constrain the proportions. Shift Alt Option will help you constrain the frame. Shift and Command will help you actually resize the image proportionately. So I'll line it up. A basic idea here is to line it up with my margin line. Okay. Make sure I'm going to close out of this baseline grid just for now. Hide the baseline grid just so that I can see my. Okay. All right, so I've got my image placed. I'm going to bring it down a little bit because I want enough room for my headline. I'm going to grab my type tool, click and drag. And this is get more out of your study time. And you'll want to apply your paragraph and character styles that we did in the previous document to this. So kind of have to experiment with size of font, but it's a sans serif font, so that's one thing you have to pay attention to. I'm going to use Helvetica Bold, and I'm going to just bring down the font size a little bit. There we go. Okay, now I have lowercase letters here, but I've noticed on the example they're all uppercase. So what I'm going to do is highlight this and go to Type, change case to title case. And there you go. By doing that, I just need to fit that word in. Okay, now you'll notice it's a navy blue color. So I'm going to click on navy blue. So I've got my And I'm going to move my image just right up in line with my text box. So I have a nice even amount of space between my headline and the image. Because I lined up the image within my margin line, I have an even amount of space from the top, the left, the right, and the bottom of the page. So even amount of space around the sides and on the top and bottom. Okay, next thing that I need to do is do study time article. Let's see if I can find it. Here's some style sheet settings that you'll need to include in your document. So maybe we should set those up right now. So we'll get our type, paragraph styles, okay? And I'll go to my header. I'll double click on it. So this will be my header, and the style sheet specifications for headers. All headers are Helvetica bold. So we'll go to our basic character formats. Helvetica bold, aligned left. You can see your left alignment under indents and spacing. And then do not snap to baseline grid, okay? So align to grid, no, we're not gonna align to grid. Okay, and then the first one we need to do is 32, 34 point. Okay, so we'll go to basic character. So 32 point, leading is 34. And it was in blue, so character color, navy blue. Hit OK. So by clicking this and then clicking on header, there you go. It gives me my style sheet. It formatted it for me, okay? Oops. And make sure nothing is selected when you go in and make these changes, just so that you don't apply the wrong style. Okay. So I've got more out of your study time. I'm going to want this to extend all the way to the edge. So I'm going to make my header a little bit bigger. You can see kind of live changes as you're doing it. Okay, that's that one header. So that is, and I'm going to double click this and click on, it's going to say blue header. So I can kind of define the difference between the headers. I click on a new paragraph style. This will be based on the blue headers, but instead this is going to be called small blue header. The title is black in the mockup. It's a dark blue, but it says here on the style sheet settings in your folder that it is blue. So it's a dark blue. So no, it's supposed to be in blue. They give you they don't give you the value of the color, but they do give you the shade here. So that one is blue. Good question. And then we're going to do the small blue header, which is in the, now this document, if you can see the style sheet settings docs, this is in your folder that you download in the newsletter folder. So you're going to want to go enter these values in. So for the size, for the small blue header, it is 25, or I'm sorry, 24, and the leading is 25. And then the style name is small blue header. It is Helvetica bold, 24, 25, and it's the same blue. So I'll hit OK. So that's the small blue header. Then I'm going to create another one. And this one is going to be red. So this will be my red header. And if I go to basic character formats, it's Helvetica bold, and then the value is 18. And the leading is 19. Okay, and then go to character color and we'll change it to red, just like that. And I'll hit OK. So now I've got my headers all entered into my paragraph style. So I can see them all, and now all I have to do is, so I can click on this blue header. There you go. All right, so that's been formatted. And next we need to do the body copy. So let's do another one so that we have it all set up. So this is the body copy. let's see, body copy serif, so I can remember. And we're not going to base this on anything. So the basic character formats is Times New Roman. Yeah, sometimes it's hard. It is confusing if you're just looking at the mock-up, if you're trying to eyeball it. That's why they gave you the style sheet settings so that you kind of know what colors they're using, because it's hard on a PDF. It doesn't always display. It doesn't always translate correctly. So good. That was a good question, though. Okay, so Times New Roman, and then I believe this is regular, and then 12 and 15. So size is 12 point, leading is 15. Okay, and all lines aligned with the baseline grid. So we'll do that under indents and spacing, align to grid, all lines right there. Okay, and we want it aligned to left. So that is the body copy serif. Then we're going to click a new one. This one is subheaders. So you can either do this in your character styles or your paragraph styles. I'm going to probably create the rest in my character style. So character style 1 is going to be my subheaders. There we go. Basic character format, we're going to want it to be Times New Roman, regular, and the size is going to be 12, and this is going to be 15. Oh, subheaders are changed to 14, bold red. Okay, so this is supposed to be 14. This is supposed to be bold. There we go. Okay, so then we've got that set. So you'll, I need to, there we go. This one I'm going to do in the paragraph styles, and this is going to be my bullets. I'm going to format my bullets. So if I go, it's the body copy, based off the body copy, and then plus we're going to do a left indent, already left aligned, 0.25. So the left indent is going to be 0.25. Okay, and the first line indent will be 0.25. So 0.25. All right, so now my bullets are set up. We'll need to go to bullets and numbering. I want it to say bullets. Got my 0.25 here, and I'll hit OK. So I've got my bullet set up. And then the last one is just the drop cap, where you can do in your character style. I'll set this up. This will be my drop cap. And then drop cap is the body copy. So everything is the same, except, let's see if it'll let me do it in here. I might have to do it in paragraph styles. Yep, they won't let me do it. So I'm going to just get rid of that one. Okay, and this last one will be my bullets. Okay, so they'll be based off of the body copy. Oops, there we go. Oh, whoops, not bullets. Drop cap, sorry. Okay, drop cap. So based off of the body copy plus a drop cap. So we'll go to the, let's see where it lets us, drop cap and nested styles. This is where we'll set the settings. So we want it to 2 lines down and 1 character over, right like that. And no, no color or anything, I believe. Uh-oh, my screen froze. Hold on 1 second. My mouse shut off. Give me 1 second. It's got to sync. I might need to change my batteries in my mouse. Let's see if it'll hook up. Sorry, guys. Quick break real quick. I'm just gonna, it's trying to sync. I'm not sure why it's, let's try again. Do a quick battery change. Always quits on you in the most inopportune times. Here we go. Let's see if it'll be able to sync. Just give it 1 second. Sorry. Anyways, this should get you set up on the paragraph styles. Oh, there we go. We're back in business. Okay, very cool. All right, so now we've got, let's see where we left off. It's 2 lines down, 1 character over. I don't believe we're changing it to a color, so we'll just hit OK. So now we've got all our paragraph styles. We've got our 1 character style, and I think we're ready to go. So we can close out of the style sheet settings for now. Don't need that just yet. So let's look at the example here. I'm going to close out of here, the group chat. Now we need to place the document. So let me get the text. Multi-snacking. Where is it? Study time. There we go. Okay. Okay, so this is how we're going to flow text into our paragraph. So I'm going to get my type tool. I'm going to click on, and I'm going to line up my text box within my margin line and the gutter line. And I want it to align perfectly, so I'm going to get it to spread out. Let's see. Make sure my smart guides are on. Smart guides are on. Okay. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to click on each one, and the idea here is because my smart guides are on, they're going to help me line up each text box. I don't want them to overlap on the gutter line, so I'm just going to try to get as exact as I can. Okay, and then draw it again. Like this. Okay, so now I've got my 3 text box placed, but what I want to do is I want to link each one to each other before I throw any text in there. By clicking on this bottom right anchor point, as you can see here, I'm going to zoom in, bottom right anchor point, whoop, making everyone dizzy. If I click on it, it all of a sudden changes. There's like a little triangle in the middle, and then my mouse almost looks like it has text in it. That means we're going to link up these text boxes. So now I'm going to click on the next text box right here. And then I'm going to click on the next one right here on the same spot. Okay, so if I click on each one, you'll see that triangle and the square. That means I've linked them all up. Oh, this one doesn't have it, so that means it didn't do it. There we go. All right, so it should all be linked up. Hang on 1 second. So let's try it one more time so we can make sure we get it. There we go. Okay, it's done. So now I can grab my text and I can place it in there. So I'm going to just double click on my Word document here, get it opened up. Close out of this. I'll highlight this, and then I'm going to flow it into my first column. Hang on. Everything's being so fickle. All right, I'm going to highlight everything. I'm going to click on body copy because that's what I want, okay? I click on my body copy serif. Oops. There we go. Okay, so now it has already formatted it for me, but I need to go in and do a little bit more cleanup. Let's see, for some reason it's, I'm gonna make some adjustments on this body copy serif here. Basic character format, so it's supposed to be 12. $12.15 regular. Character color is black. And let's see what else we need to do. Might need to bring down the size a little bit. Maybe to about 9. And bring this to 13. Okay. So now, body copy serif. There we go. Format it a little bit better now. Okay, so I can get rid of this first line because that's my headline already. And I'm going to bring this up. All right, and then I'm going to format my headline. Looks like I need to go ahead and make a few adjustments on this body copy so it can fit. So I'm going to make the changes in the body copy serif. And under the basic character formats, we're going to change this to 8. This is going to be 12. Okay. Hit OK. And then for this one, I'm going to do the drop cap. Click on drop cap. Oops. We add bullets to this one. Hang on. Oh, take off the bullets and then there we go. And we just want the drop cap. Align left, basic character format. There we go. Character color, you have to change everything. And then black. And then the indents and spacing, want everything indented. Okay. And basic character formats, we want it to be regular, just like everything else. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we've got our drop cap. I'm going to get rid of this extra spacing here. And it looks like I might even need to go make some more changes because for some reason the values they're giving us are not allowing us to fit it all in. We'll hit OK on this and see if that works. Okay, so now your approach matters. Let's see if this will work. Red header. Oh, we want small blue header. Whoops, red header. Might be a little too large, so let's adjust this one again. I guess it didn't save any of my formatting. Oh, these are the subheaders. Hit cancel. There we go. There we go. And on the basic character format, you'll probably have to eyeball it. And I'm going to have to bring this value way down. There we go. Same thing with the subheader. Make sure it's the right character color. Hit OK. There we go. All right, and then where's that drop cap? There we go. I know what's going on. This is I have it snapped to my baseline grid, and my grids have recently changed. So we're going to turn off the baseline, or got to go into my preferences. So I set up my baseline grid when I first started this document. So I'm going to need to adjust it now because it's trying to keep everything on my baseline grid right now. So whoops. I'm going to go into InDesign, Preferences, Units in Increments, and go to, go to Grids, Preferences, Grids. And then my increment every needs to be my actual leading. So I need to go change that in my, click off of it and go back into my body copy. So this is what has to match. So my, I'm going to do 12-point font. It's going to be size 8, but I'm going to need to make sure that in my grids and guides, it matches the increment every. So this is 12. That's what it needs to say. There we go. Now it's all formatted. Now we're getting there. There we go. Okay. And then your environment matters. Schedule matters. It looks like we're going to continue on the next line. So some things to keep an eye on are these bullets. So I'm going to highlight these bullets here, and I'm going to click on bullets, and it's going to already format them for me. So now I just need to, oops, let go. Just going to get rid of this here. It looks like the indent that we put on it needs to be adjusted a little bit too. So we're going to go ahead and go to bullets, bullets and numbering, first line indent. I'm going to go ahead and take this off because I don't think it's helping anything. Hit OK. There we go. I think 3.75 is a little bit better. Oops. There we go. And I just kind of eyeball it, and then we'll kind of adjust the width of our text box a little bit to kind of see how we can get these things formatted. Okay, and then right underneath schedule matters, let's see, we're going to place the next picture of the guy studying. Just like this, and it placed large, so I'm going to have to hold down Shift and Command. And I want to draw the image to be the size of the column. And then hit fill frame proportionately right at the top. Okay, so this looks like it's pretty good. What I can do, it looks like I need to adjust the width of my columns a little bit. I want to make sure they're all the same size. And I want to make sure my photo lines up with them as well. Okay. And that looks about good. The one thing I want to do is turn off my hyphenation. So if I go to Window, Styles, Paragraph, or let's see, Window, Type in Tables, Paragraph, this will allow me to click this hyphenate box, and it will not hyphenate all my words, and that's it won't break things up. So that'll look a lot nicer. Okay, and I think we're good here. So we'll just zoom out, kind of show you. This is a basic overall design on this one. So just kind of eyeball it Make sure things are lining up correctly. We'll go to page 2, see if we can get this one laid out pretty quick. All right, and then the next thing we have to continue this text here that's still left. So by clicking on this plus sign on the last column of my second page, and click and drag so that I can see the rest of mine. I'll click here. And it looks like I might need to add a little bit more content. So what I'm going to do is change. Let's go to subheaders. Here we go. Kind of have to adjust the spacing a little bit, but I'm going to adjust my copy serif. Let's go to, just so I can see it fill in. Let's go down to 11, 10. Oops. There we go. You might have to play around with it and kind of adjust. I do not want these bullets. To adjust with it. And then I'd have to just do a little bit of formatting to get it the way you want. There we go. And we'll add the drop cap. There we go. And then these bullets here, we're going to have to tighten up the leading a little bit. For some reason, they're kind of being weird. I'm not, wait, there we go. I'm not quite sure why they're doing that. Okay, there we go. Now all formatted. Bullets look okay. That page looks okay. Now that my column of text is here, I'm going to kind of shift this down a little bit, and then I'm going to draw a box. So if I grab this box here, just kind of line it up with the margin line. I want it to line up with the last line of my text. So I'm going to line up my text box with it. And then we're going to give it a color. So we need a red stroke on it. A red stroke, and then kind of a light gray or a light blue. Oops. Do the red stroke, and then we'll go to the fill box. And we'll go to a really light tint. It's kind of a light blue. I'm going to do about 10 points on that tint. And then this is where I'm going to place the rest of my picture. So if I go to healthy eating and drag it in. I want it about that big. Click on fill frame proportionately. Now, are there any questions so far as you're watching this? I know formatting is a little tricky, so we're just going to have to figure out how to get it to format correctly. This is actually supposed to be a much bigger picture, so I'm going to kind of bring it down like this. Fill frame proportionately. Well, it's looking about right. And then we're going to need to type in healthy snacking. And this is going to be my small blue header. I'm going to center that right underneath my picture. Okay, and then now the article. I'm going to bring this down. I'll go get my text. See if healthy snacking will pop up. There we go. I'm going to throw this in here. Okay, so now what it's doing is it's saying, oh, you're putting in, is it going to format stuff for me? So I want to okay. And you can adjust the size if you need to. Healthy snacking. I'm going to go to return. I'm going to do a drop cap. So it just takes a little bit to format, but once you do, it's pretty simple to get it. All right, let's put a return there. Oop. And then we'll just format this. Oops. And you can do bullets if you want, or numbers is fine. Kind of bullet these. I'm getting rid of the numbers because it shows bullets in the example. Okay. And then I'm going to place my image, my last image, on healthy snacking. Right there. We'll pull it in here on this column. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of shorten this up a little bit, and I'm going to add a text wrap. So if I click on the image and add a text wrap on it, this text will wrap around. Now, you can either have it wrap around there, or you can do two separate columns of text if it's easier. So if you wanted to do this and then draw around it, you do what's easier for you. It doesn't have to look exactly like it. It just needs to look formatted is all. Here we go. And then looks like there's one more bullet here that we want to place. There we go. And we want this text to line up at the same place. And just fill in the space where you need to with this picture. Just fill frame proportionately. Move it down a little bit. I'm going to kind of line this up with my text. It looks just about there. I just need to center this. And there you go. We've got the formatting down. There we go. Just be careful when you move things around because it will tend to shift. Okay, so this is about all you'll need for your page. Are there any questions before we close? This is it. When you have completed all 4 pages, what you're going to want to do is go to package it. Let's learn how to package it correctly. You go to File, Package at the bottom. So see how I did that? File, Package. And then you'll look to see if it's missing any links or anything. Otherwise, you're good to go. Just hit Package. It will ask if you want to save it. Definitely save it. Hit Continue. Just kind of go through the Q&A. They'll create a newsletter folder. I'm a fan of putting it on my desktop so I know right where to go. Hit OK. It'll give you a few warning boxes. You can just hit OK. And then what it's doing is it's taking all the pictures, all the text, and it's taking all the logos and the ads, every link that you have in here, and it's putting it in its own folder. The fonts, everything you use, okay? And then I'll close out of all this, all these windows, and I'll show you what it looks like. Go to, it should say, yeah, newsletter folder right here. So by double clicking on it, it'll show you the PDF, the InDesign, the links, the documents, everything. Right click on it and hit compress. And it will compress it into a zip folder. This file is what you're going to upload to Dropbox. Now, if you're on a PC, it does it a little differently. So I'm going to move this. If newsletter folder, you'll have to go to File and click on Compress. If you don't have a mouse and can't right click, that's where you'll find it. If you're on a PC, for some reason it has these in pieces, so you'll have to hold down Shift and select all of the links that you need, and then right click and hit Compress. Compress 6 items. That's what you'll have to click if you're on a PC to do that. So that is all for today. If there are any questions, I'm going to kind of open the floor up to you. If you want to talk about your assignments or grades or anything, you're welcome to do that. But as for a lecture, we are done. Thank you so much for coming, participating in class, and working so hard on your resubmissions and on all of your assignments. You guys have done so well, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the mod. And can't wait to see your final projects. They're going to look great. All right, and then you didn't have any other questions? You're good? You did resubmit? Perfect. So any resubmissions, grades should be updated by Friday or Saturday evening. So we will be holding a multi-session on Wednesday. So come if you have any questions, or if maybe grades aren't resubmitted, you have a question about your grade, just come to that and I'll take care of you. Perfect, and you're reworking assignment 4. See, that's great. So you're already getting a head start on it. Perfect. All right, guys, have fun with this assignment. I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Thanks for coming.